Hello again from West Texas, and welcome to the first week of July 2021. Can you believe this year is already halfway over? I haven't done a video in quite a few months, but this is the second anniversary since I had the stroke, so it seemed like a good milestone for a progress report. Before I get going on this one, I want to be clear. Part of the reason I stopped making videos is, well, two things. For one, there wasn't a lot of progress to report. Not much has happened since October of last year when I did my last video. But also, I started to feel that this was all about me, and I didn't want people to think I expect you to watch a video, just me talking about me and all my poor pitiful me and my stroke recovery. So I want to be clear, it won't hurt my feelings if this doesn't relate to you. That's all right. You won't hurt my feelings if you don't watch it. My point when I first started doing these, and I've said this before, it was as much as anything, it was for me to follow my own progress so I could come back. And then I realized that others might benefit. And that's my hope, is that this will be helpful to somebody who is also going through this, a brain injury, a stroke, whatever, or people who are caretakers or know somebody who's going through this, and the person may not be able, some folks just can't articulate what they're going through the process. They may not be able to speak well, or they just can't get their feelings out there. So I hope that would be relevant to people who are going through them themselves or helping someone else go through this. Okay, so let's go back to what's happened in the past 2 years, and when I look at it, I can really break it down to year one and year two up to this point. At the first year, well, 1 year ago, that marked the end of what I would call basic functionality, regaining basic functionality, the ability to walk, just to stand up on my own. I needed help to stand up. For almost 3 months, 2 months, I could not even get to the toilet without help. I mean, that's kind of disheartening when you feel that much an invalid. So it took me a year to get back to what I would call basic functionality. And I marked that. I posted a video 1 year ago. I shaved that ridiculous gray beard that I had grown. I just didn't shave for a year, didn't get a haircut for a year. And I had to go get my driver's license again. I had to go back and, just like a 16-year-old kid, I had to take the driver's test over again. So all of that, brought me back into basic functionality. I could get up and walk. I could drive my car again, start running errands. I still had a way to go on more elevated abilities, some dexterity and strength that I've continued to regain over the past second year. But the first year, that was it. Just returning to basic fundamental abilities of life. But there have been some new developments since a year ago. 1 year ago, I still, in fact, this has just been just recent weeks, I still could not dress myself standing up. And I know I probably sound like a broken record because I say this over and over again. Until I lost part of my brain functionality, I didn't appreciate just how much our brain does. I mean, that sounds silly, but there are so many things we all take for granted that, you've probably heard that we only use 20% of our brain. And that's only true about the book learning part of our brain, the things that we learn in school. You go to school for years to learn all the stuff that, how to do math and science and history, and don't know much about my science book. But that's only part of what your brain does. Most of your brain's function is controlling the rest of your body. I could not put on a pair of pants standing up. Ask a software engineer how much programming power it would take, how much they would have to program a robot to get dressed. If a robot were, humanoid, had arms and legs, how much you'd have to program that computer to put arms through sleeves of a shirt and then button the shirt. And then to put on a pair of pants. Think about it. You have to grasp the pants in each hand, bend over, bend at the waist, and then balance on one foot and lift the other leg up and put your pant, that's a fantastic amount of stuff that's going on in your brain. And most of us are probably listening to the radio, thinking about what we're going to have for breakfast while we're doing this. Now I'm astonished by how much all animal brains do. I mean, when you watch a dog that can run and jump and catch a ball in the air, all those the things that seem so easy, your brain's doing a fantastic amount of work to make those things happen. So until literally not even a month ago, I still could not put on a pair of pants standing up. I tried almost every day for the past year. I'd stand there, oh, come on, and I'd start to lose my balance, and finally I'd just have to sit down, put my pants on. Well, as of about a month ago, I can stand up. Now I did this exercise a lot. I would stand in place and just lift my leg, but bending over and balancing while holding trousers, all of that took too much effort. Okay, so that was one thing. Also, a year ago, I still could not lift, I barely could lift 10 pounds in my left arm. When I first came home from the hospital, I could not lift my arm above my shoulder at all, and I couldn't pick up a pencil with my hand. So that was the first thing, was to be able to get empty-handed, to lift my hand above my head. And then I stepped up to a 2-pound weight, just 2 pounds. Just holding a 2-pound weight at first was almost impossible. I mean, I would do this. I'd sit in a chair and just hold the weight until I got to where I could grasp it, curl my fingers around it and hold it. And then the first time, get it to there. And it took several days. And finally I got it above my head. And then I could do that maybe 3 or 4 times. And I'd keep working at it, get it up to 6 or 8 times. Finally, when I could do this 40 times, then it was time to step up to the next weight. And the 5-pound weight, start all over from the beginning. First it was, I can't get to, and then, so went through that procedure, then stepped up to a 10-pound weight. Now, 1 year ago, I could not do that. And then just 3 months ago was when I was able to do it with the 25-pound weight, the big one. So this is actually, that's my biggest weight. This is what I was doing with my right arm, which is, that's still work. 25 pounds is a pretty good weight. But here we go, I'm going to show off. Okay, it's still more work on my left arm, but I can do this 25 pounds with a 25-pound weight in my left arm. So that's my workout 3 times a week, is 25 pounds above my head. Well, after showing off my weightlifting prowess, I had to take a break to catch my breath. Didn't want to be huffing and puffing while I'm trying to narrate a video. So those are the 2 demonstrable abilities that I have developed since the last video. I can lift a 25-pound weight above my head now, and I can put on my clothes standing up. Things that you wouldn't even, you don't realize how much you learn when you're a baby. I mean, I didn't realize how much I learned in my first 3-5 years of my life. All these fundamental abilities that occupy most of our brain's capacity. The third thing I would say that's really been developed in the second year since the stroke is just a more general stamina, mental stamina, to do a days of activities. And I think I talked about this in the last video also, that you don't, when your whole life is just stops, you don't really, I couldn't, like I've explained, I needed help just to stand up. So I spent an awful lot of time just sitting in a chair, doing the simplest, retraining my hand to touch my fingers to my thumb, things like that, to curl my fingers and make a fist. That was my day for months. So the ability just to get through a typical day of running errands, preparing food, the stuff that again, we all take for granted. I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record. It's so many things that we take for granted that I had to relearn in that first year. So then the second year has been getting back to the capacity to do all those things on a daily basis. But there have been a couple of disappointments. And so let's get to those. A couple of weeks ago, we went on a little mini vacation to a hotel with a swimming pool. I was so looking forward to seeing how I would do in a swimming pool. I used to love to swim. I was even on a swim team when I was a kid. And I was a pretty good swimmer. I could, from one end of the pool, now not an Olympic pool, just a typical recreational pool, like the size pool you'd find at a typical hotel, So I could swim, kick off from one end of the pool, swim to the other end and back, 3 lengths of the pool underwater. I had the lung capacity, and I could swim fast enough underwater to do that 3 times. Well, I still can go 1 length of the pool underwater, still have that lung capacity, but I don't have the swimming capacity to propel myself through water like I used to. Now, of course, I'm getting older. I'm not a 25-year-old athletic young guy anymore, so a little bit of that is to be expected. But clearly the stroke is affected because it seems silly, but at the time I didn't even appreciate, as I'm going underwater, I really couldn't see the other end of the pool. So when I did come up I'd come to the side of a pool, I discovered I had been drifting off to the left, and I would come up on the side of the pool instead of going straight through. Clearly my left side does not have the strength or the coordination to push me through water underwater. So that was kind of disappointing, but now that I've identified that as a weakness, lifting weights and doing walking, doing the exercises I do at home, it's a completely different set of skills from swimming. So every chance I get, I'm gonna go get into a pool and work on that, because that would be fun to be able to at least make it down and back 2 links of the pool. So that would be satisfying. The other thing is, again, that this is not a specific ability or lack of ability. It's more a general, and I want these videos to be as positive and encouraging as possible, but I also want them to be honest. I am dealing with fear that I never anticipated out. I'm afraid of being alone, afraid of the possibility of being alone in the future. And I'm finding out, I'm talking to friends, other people I know my age, that that's becoming more and more common. This is one of the things they don't tell you about, that a lot of people deal with as they age, a lot of us all deal with when we age, is beginning to be afraid. And I'd actually like to request some tips or comments. How do you deal with fear? Simple things that never. I mean, anybody who knows me, I've been a very independent guy all my life. I used to be on the road traveling the United States by myself, checking into hotels, and it never bothered me to be alone. But now it frightens me, the thought that I might be alone someday. And well, what would I do? How would I get through my day-to-day activities if I'm alone? Why is that frightening me so much? I've been fine all my life. Other simple things that like trying a new job, trying to get myself back into the job market. Now, of course, I've been out of the job market for 2 years, so that's going to be a little intimidating to anybody who's been, not been doing it. But it seems much more disturbing to me now, the idea of confronting somebody, because I really would like to be a productive person again. I want to be working at something. So if you have ideas or suggestions on how a person deals with fear, I'd welcome what your point of view is on that. Well, that's the update. So happy second half of 2021. Hope the year's going well for you so far. Can you believe it's already half over? And it's going to be a few months before my next update. I hope that I have more positive news to report. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful in some way or another. And I'm very appreciative of all the support I get from the people I know. It's meant a lot to me. Thank you.